And that really is the main factor here, being a child, because at this time you're growing up 12, 13, 14, because at 16 was when you got your marriage proposal. 16.
Yes.
Most kids here are getting excited to get their driver's license, right? And you're getting a marriage proposal. So tell us about that day.
Oh gosh, it was so there was this friend of my mom's in that small town where I was, and suddenly, like, my mom tells me one day that, you know, this friend of mine is really interested in you for her brother who lives in Canada. And I was like, what? What do you mean? And you know, like, so I was tall, and I was, you know, my body was already developing, and at the age of 16 I looked older than my age anyway. So a lot of, like, I would hear like rumors and things like that around me, like, oh yeah, Samra's gonna get marriage proposals lined up for her because, and you know, I'm fair skinned, so obviously that's like some kind of a you know what I mean.
I know,
right?
yeah.
So
They're like, check.
I know. So when I was just shocked, and I thought it was a joke. I just laughed it off, like, yeah, whatever. And I went outside to play. But then the next day again, you know, my mom brought it up, and it kept coming up, and certainly the friend who was my ex-husband's sister, like, she started to kind of woo me and be my friend and show me all these dreams about Canada and how lovely it would be if I'd go there, and my education would not be put to a stop, and I can actually go study there. And I think in my head there was also that fear that you know, everybody had told me that, yeah, I have these big dreams, but it's not like they're gonna happen, because no girl from my extended family had ever actually been sent abroad to study. So the way it was positioned to me was that this way I will fulfill my dreams, and my parents wouldn't be worried that I'm all alone in a strange country. And you know, there's this whole sort of idea about the West being corrupt, and girls go there and like become promiscuous and all of that. So you know, that's kind of how it was all laid out. And I questioned, and I was like, no, that's not gonna happen. And you know, I know myself, and I want to go to study somewhere. I don't want to do this. And I was petrified because even after the date was set, and my parents accepted the proposal and whatnot, like, I would have nightmares every single night, and I would wake up in a sweat thinking that, am I actually going to be is my education going to be put to a stop? Am I going to have a chance to fulfill my dreams? And what if he turns out to be a monster? And you know, like, as a child, I would literally like foresee this thing as some kind of like a bad movie. And
But these are legitimate concerns because he is a stranger for you. And
Absolutely.
I want people to realize, when you say stranger, it's not like you just barely got to know him. You didn't know him at all.
I had
You
never
didn't
met him.
Met him. Did you even get to talk on the phone?
Just once in front of everybody for like 2 seconds.
Yeah. So essentially,
all I said was hello, and he said hello, and he said, how are you? And I'm like, I'm okay. How are you? Yeah, I'm good too. And then I gave it to his sister. That's it. So I just heard his voice. That's all I talked to him about or heard from him. And the first time I actually saw him was the day before my wedding, again, among his family and my family. And I remember like sitting on the couch, like with my head down. This was in Karachi because we'd gone to Pakistan for the wedding. And he came in, and I didn't even, I was so afraid and shy and, you know, just so sort of anxious that I didn't even lift my eyes up to look at him. I just sat there, and then he sat beside me, and then everybody was like, okay, stand up, let's see how the two of you look together. And he's quite tall, so like, oh, perfect height, and they look so good in pictures, and they're snapping pictures, and I'm just standing there with my head held down, and I think I caught like one glimpse of his face. That's it. So that was our first and only meeting before the wedding.
Imagine marrying someone that you had said, hi, how are you?
Yeah, like, and someone who was not even in my age group. He's 11, more than 11 years older. So I sort of as a 16-year-old, I saw him more of like an uncle figure, if that makes any sense, you know, like and like as if, you know, he's some like an older man instead of like someone who's my age that I can play with and be friends with. And you know, I saw him more of an authoritative figure, like he would be someone who would be friends with my dad rather than me, you know.
So you were married at 16.
The marriage happened after I just turned 17. Yeah. It was fixed when I was 16.
So you get married at 17, and then do you come to Canada then right away with him?
Yep. So it took a few months for the whole paperwork and everything to go through, because the wedding happened, and then he came back to Canada, and then he sponsored me, and then I joined him shortly after. You know, so this was 1999. So we had just started to get the, you know, internet was already a thing by then. So I would, you know, go on MSN and I don't think there was Google back then.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what is Canada like?
Yeah, what is Canada like? And I would, you know, go to university websites and just kind of browse, like, and so I think I told myself that, you know, it's not going to be bad. As long as I get to go to school, you know, it'll be fine.
Which was promised to you,
Which
correct?
was promised, absolutely promised.
By who? Who
by
promised
him,
you?
his family, my parents, everybody.
So everyone said, you know what?
Yeah.
It's fine. Whatever your
In
dreams
fact, I
are,
was
you can
told
continue
by
them.
his family and mine that, oh, don't even think that you're actually getting married. Think you're going there for school. So that was kind of my saving grace at that time. Like, you know, okay, this was my coping mechanism. Just
They basically said everything you needed to hear to be comfortable to come to Canada.
Yeah, and you know, just like a sidebar, like now when I mentor a lot of women, and I've certainly encountered a lot of child brides as well that I talk to, and one person said something really remarkable to me, and she said she was a child bride here in Canada, in Vancouver. She was born and raised here, and at the age of 16 forced into marriage. And she said, you know, people ask me if I was forced, and I say, like, what is force? It's not like someone put a gun to my head or a knife to my throat. It's the whole pressure that comes with it. What choice do you have at the age of 16, 17 to say no to your family and then be abandoned and ridiculed and lose everybody and hurt them? And, you know, where would you go?
That's very true.
So yes, in my case as well, you know, it's not like someone put a knife to my throat. That, no, you got to do this. You know, otherwise we'll kill you. But what choice did I have? If my parents have already fixed this alliance with this person, if I say no, I'm gonna, you know, make them angry and hurt. And plus, I mean, it's not like I was in Canada. I was in Abu Dhabi. Where would I even go?
Exactly.
Right.
And plus, you love your family, right? And you always think they know
Yeah.
best. They'll maybe I
and
don't
then
see it now.
religion and culture and everything plays a factor into it. Like, you know, from day one, you're conditioned to think that marriage is like your number one priority and biggest accomplishment that you could ever achieve in your life. So as a young girl, like, you know, when I got engaged and at 16, and I went to school the next day, and I told my friends, and, you know, I was like, I'm scared. And they're like, oh my God, you're so lucky. You're the first one among us to be engaged, and you're going to Canada. And, you know, and then you're like, as a child, you're like, I don't want to be ungrateful. I don't want to say no. I don't want everyone to think I'm weird. And, you know, they're all saying I'm lucky, so maybe I should be happy, right? And then you kind of pretend to be just playing along and be happy because everyone expects you to.